Have you ever wondered how many cuttings you could possibly take in a small area? Well, here's an example of something that you can do in your own garden. You could get up to 50 shrubs in just a little 2 square foot area. And I'm going to show you what I mean right here. I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. If you like propagation and stuff like that, hit the like button, subscribe, and follow along for more. But what I've got right here is a standard 10-20 flat with a little bit of an insert into it. And inside the insert, I put a rooting medium just made of 50% sand and 50% core. That mixture is pretty good. It keeps good drainage at the same time as it retains moisture. The two things you really want good in your cuttings. So let's take a look. Let me show you what I actually have in here in this flat, and you can see some of the success that you could have in just a small amount of space. So what I've got right here is an insert that goes into a 10-20 flat. And I use these inserts sometimes for seed starting. I've done coneflowers in them and various other plants, and they can be used for that too. But what's really cool about using it for plant propagation, for stem cuttings and stuff, is you end up with a bit of a reservoir underneath that you can put your water in, and then the plants can grow their roots. And I don't know how well you can see this, but there's one right there in the middle that's got some there's a couple that have some great roots coming out of the bottom. So they are ready to go into new pots. So that's one thing we're going to have to do. Now, if you're looking at this flat, you're going to see several different types of plants in it. Right here in the middle are some types of hydrangeas. These are limelights in the middle. This is a macrophylla one that's called Lady in Red. You can see it's got these nice red parts here on the stems and on the leaves. They're really pretty. Over here, I've got some Shasta viburnums, which are like one of my absolute favorite viburnums out there. These are getting a little bit of browning around the edges, and there's a story for that. It's not a very long one, but basically I let it dry out one time, and they took a little bit of damage from that. Plus, they are also in this container, and they are ready to get potted up into some better soil for growing, and they've got a little bit of a nutrient deficiency because of that. So here's another viburnum. This is, you can see by the maple leaf shape, it is a Japanese snowball viburnum, which is really pretty, but is a sterile variety. So it really doesn't produce anything for pollinators or birds like berries and anything like that. It could be a good nesting place for them, but it's mostly an ornamental type of plant. So right here, I've got little Henry itea, which is a native Virginia sweet spire plant. And on the end, I have these Arborvitae. Arborvitae are something I really enjoy propagating because they're almost always successful. They're just really cool. This particular variety is the green giant, which grows really tall, makes a very good privacy screen. And when I flip around over here, you can see I've got more of those limelights. And what's really interesting is right here. If you see this, this is the Hydrangea macrophylla. And look at those aerial roots that are forming all along that stem. It was probably in the shade a little bit more on that particular location, and so those roots decided that it was a good place to form. So you can pull this out and you can check this cutting out a little more closely. And you can see here we've got a lot of roots right around this little saucer type area, and then some right up here along the stem. And then there's that really beautiful red coloring on that leaf. So I'll pop that one back in there for now, but they're ready to be transplanted. Here's a limelight right next door to it, and it's rooting a little bit, but not nearly as much as that other one right there. It could probably use a little bit longer before I transplant, but we do have some really good success on that limelight hydrangea. Hydrangeas do tend to be on the easy side for rooting. And here's another itea. I'll show you this here. This one has not rooted, but it's in good condition, so we'll re-stick it back into the cuttings, and we'll let that see if it will grow again. But beside it, there's another one that does have some rooting right here. Now, often you'll hear people talk about getting new growth as being a sign of propagation, and that's successful propagation, and it's not always. So what you look for is that combined with a slight tension when you pull on it, when you're trying to remove it from the medium. And those two things combined usually mean you've got some sort of rooting happening. Now over here, I'm really thrilled with these. Shasta viburnums, like I mentioned a minute ago, are one of my absolute favorite viburnums. And we have got some amazing rooting happening on these. Check that out right here. They look fantastic. Now, they are definitely ready to get transplanted into a pot because you can see their roots are starting to grow upward. They're beginning to get pot bound, so I need to get these into a different type of medium in a larger pot very quickly. That one did really well. Here's one right next door to it. It also did amazing, and so did this one right here. Check that out. Those do really well. I really love viburnums, and this is one of my favorite kinds. So I've got a whole lot of them that I can plant around, possibly use as a shrub row of some kind, a privacy screen. They're deciduous, so they do lose all the leaves in the wintertime, but if you've got another cross-pollinator out there, you could cross-pollinate it and get berries, which are great for the birds in the fall. And here's a look at the Arborvitae. You can see here we've got some really good roots on that one started. They're very reliable rooters. Right here we've got a few small roots on that one started there. This one here we've got a little side shoot right there for a root. Grab the one on the end. We got some good roots started here. And then we got a few roots on that one too. So we are 5 for 5 on that Arborvitae. So if you don't have a whole lot of room to propagate plants, just think about this. You can do a lot with just 2 square feet right here. Up to 50 plants in this one tray in less than 2 square feet. So I think that's a really good ratio there. It's like 25 per foot, basically. So you can do a lot with a very little amount of space. So the next step here is going to be taking these cuttings and actually upsizing them into a different pot, something where they've got some good soil and good nutrition. So that'll be next. But as you can see here, you can do a lot in a very little space. But I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. If you have a question, drop it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Growing the Home Garden. Thanks for watching.